I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Happy Monday, everyone. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda minutes from 12:1?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
School committee chair comments. I don't have any tonight. Community comments. Is there anyone in the room? Paul?
Yeah.
Sam, is there anyone online? Community comments? All right then. Moving right on to student comments. Sean?
All right. So Kaylin can't be here because he has a nice little basketball scrimmage thing. So I'll just be doing a quick little recap. So last Friday, the Nipmuc School Counseling Center, they were able to host a wellness fair to promote mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And despite the boiler issues, it was actually a pretty good day in the gym where there were therapy dogs, yoga, hula hoop contests, a bunch of cool stuff. Next, our athletic director, Mr. Schmidt, was named Massachusetts Athletic Director of the Year for excellence in directing high school athletics, and I thought he'd give him a nice shout out. Then we have this past Saturday, Nipmuc Funds for Cancer Club. They hosted their annual Winter Wonderland event at Memorial, so the boiler. So through this event, they were able to raise over $1,000 for the Riley Ross Memorial Foundation to help children impacted with pediatric cancer. And then finally, I just want to reiterate that this week's going to be a big week for college decisions. So make sure you're following the commits page so you can see what everyone's up to after graduation. I know we've had a bunch this past week. Like we have Wes with Vassar, Wes Ludwigson, which is cool. We also have Bryn with Smith College. Yeah. We have a bunch of people coming up, so make sure to check out that Instagram.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So there's a whole Instagram for that?
Yes. You already have like 9 posts.
Not on that
there.
one.
That's old news.
I did that like 2 meetings ago.
I don't know, I've been a little focused on my own son's success. That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad to hear that the boiler wasn't disruptive at all. And congratulations to Mr. Schmidt. I'll be glad. We should have mentioned it to him next time I see him. Any questions for Sean? Thanks, Sean. All right, new business. Mr. Rebido.
It's good.
So I have guests with me today. Goal for today was just give an update on what our innovation career pathways have been up to this past year since the school year started over the summer. So again, Brian Roby, Director of Learning Innovation.
Hi, I'm Tara Bennett. I'm here at Nipmuc. I am the Career Community and Innovations Coordinator.
I'm Will. I'm a sophomore. I joined the Innovation Career Pathways last spring. Oh, and I'm in the finance program, and I'm looking to start my journey next year.
So I think it's clear we are hitting many pieces of the strategic priorities with the pathways, adding some more deeper learning experiences. And this is our goal for today. So we're going to just do an overview of the programs we have, including 2 new programs. We have an exploratory program that Sven will be talking about today. And then we will hear from Will, and then some things that are kind of on the horizon for the programs. So currently what we have for programs, So this was a video that our commissioned to promote our ICP programs ahead of our exploratory that started with the 9th graders. So I figured we could maybe watch this quick little video.
Every student has a future worth preparing for.
I want to be an anesthesiologist.
Pursue sports marketing because I've always had a love for sports in my life.
Probably something in like the medical field or like health services.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Being in business, being some sort of manager or something in marketing.
Nursing.
Marketing related jobs or business related jobs in general.
Any job in the hospital, I would like to be a surgeon or a nurse.
Today we're going to be talking about innovation career pathways at NMUC.
ICP stands for Innovation Career Pathways. It's a program at NMUC where there's multiple different career pathways you can go into, and they help you with your future career.
Basically, people can take specific classes to set them up for a future in something that they want to do.
Gives high schoolers opportunities to try different programs that helps with their future.
A good opportunity for students to get some real world experience.
So set kids up for careers and for like their basically their future and to teach them about real life interactions.
It can give them real world experiences and just give them to see what it would be like in their actual career if they were to go into it. But then we have a large variety of options and that they can play a big role in helping prepare us for college.
Students who are interested in certain job markets like healthcare and business finance, and the school can help them by giving them classes that are specified in those regions.
I'm partially invested in the computer science one, and I've been putting some of my volunteer hours in there, trying to help the upcoming freshmen choose a career that might be good for them.
Whether you're heading to college, the workforce, or exploring your options, ICP helps you build a foundation for success.
I think it's definitely good to learn more about what you want to do before college, not only to gain information on it, but also to understand if that's really what you want to do.
It could help them find their path, and it could give them resources.
Pathways help students build durable skills that colleges and employers look for, like communication, problem solving, and leadership.
So that once they're out of high school and they're going into a career or college, they already have prior information, which can really help set them up for success. Whereas other people won't know what to do, but they'll already have a head start.
Innovation career pathways give every student access to opportunity, direction, and growth. Where will your learning take you?
So this was ahead of the exploratory program and also geared towards families and caregivers in the future. So this is the first of the more times that we can show this out there. We have 5 programs now. So previously we had information technology, marketing, finance, and then 2 new programs this year, which is the environmental science and healthcare. The partners that this is a short list of some of the partners that are on all of the ICP pathway programs. We're working myself trying to work together to figure out how we get more opportunities with our partners and also with post-secondary institutions to get students to have more experience, so it feels like the program is more than just classes on their schedule, but how they can go to I've career-based experiences, like we're going to the cyber range at Bridgewater State. I've reserved that for the ILD day in March. We have the Upton Fire and EMS that are working with students. You probably saw some of them in the slides on the video. And then we also have some internship opportunities, certifications that are coming with the new programs, and looking towards potentially having some dual enrollment opportunities. This fall, we had a slight rebranding with the computer science pathway to talk more about informational technology. This was a response from what students were saying, what they're interested in. So broadening the idea of computer science to more than just coding, but looking at as information technology, cybersecurity, AI and data, user experience design, and then looking for more of those opportunities that are beyond just the coding. We have an expansion of the course options right now. So AP statistics is an option that's part of the ICP that students can take. And then we're also looking at a dual enrollment option that students can take with Sigma Community College, essentially.
So thank you for having me this evening. I'm really actually excited to talk a little bit more about the ICPs and the opportunities that our students are going to have because of these programs that are connected with DESE. This was an application process that a team here worked hard for each one of these pathways. And so just really proud of the educators that we have with us and working side by side to make sure that these kids have some really cool experiences, as Ryan has already alluded to. So here with our business and finance pathway, this came on track last fall, so the fall of 2024. And in this pathway, we actually have 20 students And they're mostly freshmen, they're mostly actually sophomores and juniors, and we have some freshmen that have already expressed interest and committed. And we have 10 in our finance and 10 in our marketing pathway. And the way this works is that students have specific courses that they need to take. And then that happens during their freshman, sophomore, and junior years, but embedded at the same time are these authentic experiences that have already been alluded to. And then with all of our innovation career pathways, it's come senior year that these students will then engage in a 100-hour either internship or a capstone project. And that can be completed their summer prior to their senior year or during their senior year, and that would be part of their coursework. So the reason why we don't have too many upperclassmen right now is because the onboarding takes a little bit of time, right? And just the whole scheduling pathway to get everything going. I'm sure if something like this was available when Sean was a freshman, he probably would have jumped on board and joined the ICP, but it wasn't. But with that being said, we do really look to our students, such as Will, for guidance and experiences that they're interested in. And so, as you can see here with the business and finance, we do have a focus in accounting and Microsoft Office with our students. And we also, you can see the DECA connection, and that runs through both marketing and finance. So, we have, we're over 115 students, if not 120 plus with DECA. It is such a strong community here that it is a really great platform to build this innovation career pathways. And with that being said, that's what we're finding, right? Mr. Wood and Mr. Kelly, who are our business teachers, they're doing a fantastic job of really marketing and explaining to the students the opportunities that they have here. With all innovation career pathways, students will have the chance to earn industry-related credentials known as IRC. And specific here with this in the business and finance is we brought on Microsoft Office. So the Microsoft Office course is very beneficial for students in business because business doesn't really do Google, right? The way education does. And so students are getting certified in Microsoft Word, in Excel, and PowerPoint. So they're walking away with saying, I am proficient. I've earned certificates, industry certificates in these areas. They're also going to, they're in the marketing pathway, there is a Google marketing pathway or certification that they will engage in. And so these IRCs and all of our pathways are just kind of the feather in the cap that a student can say, right? It's going to set them apart from others when they're applying for a job, going for an internship, going for college, going for post-career, whatever it might be after NIMA. And that's what we're really looking for, is for the students to learn these skills and gain them here so that they can apply them whatever and wherever it takes them. With environmental science, this is one of our new pathways that came on, and we're excited for this. Ms. Michael is our environmental science ICP teacher, who she is just incredibly passionate about what she does here, and that passion is building. We have one student right now who has committed with environmental science, interested in marine biology. And I know just through the conversations that we've had with the ninth graders, and you'll hear more about this in the exploratory program, there are more students who want to learn more. And what's really neat about the environmental science pathway is just the breadth that this can bring, right? There's so much with each one of these pathways. You can talk about information technology, but it's not just one thing. Right? I mean, it can just mean so much. And that's the flexibility that we're going to be working with our students so that they can, to a degree, really personalize their experiences more through their internship or their capstone project come senior year. And so with environmental science, again, we're working very closely with the Upton Lakes and Ponds and Streams Committee. And they've just been very gracious with their time and with their expertise. So they've been a really neat partnership for us to gain. And that's actually helped one of our seniors who's doing a current internship with them right now. So we're, again, building those relationships and that knowledge with our community members. And then our final pathway that also came on board this year is healthcare. And this one is going to burst at the seams. We already have 13 students who are interested in pathway in the healthcare. We had one commit last year before we even brought it on. They went, in the introduction when this was talked about in the spring, this was all during the application process. We spoke to the ninth graders, and instantly it's just like, yep, I'm in. This is what I want to do. And so even now I have a lot of sophomores. I have 12 sophomores who have said, yes, this is what I want to do. And this is the pathway. Students have the interests from nursing to surgeons to mental wellness, right? Therapists, whatever it might be with healthcare. So I will put the shameless plug of if anyone has any connections in any type of healthcare industry, please let us know, because it's actually one of the most challenging to get students into because of HIPAA and all of the rules that we have to follow. But the students are super excited, and I'm really pleased with the Upton EMS and fire department. They've really jumped on board. We had a meeting earlier this fall about one thing, and the next thing I knew, I had them on board for our exploratory program, our career shadow day, and very much with our healthcare pathway. So really excited to expand on this. Students here will receive their CPR and first aid certification. They'll also receive their OSHA certification, which is something in environmental science will do as well. And I will tell you that if an employer is seeing that a student has OSHA certification, that's kind of think of it as just the base information that's needed, right? It's all that safety and that knowledge information that is going to open doors for students, right? For them to have the OSHA 10 certification. So our teachers are getting trained in it, and they will be providing those opportunities for our students. So again, just some really neat opportunities coming up with these pathways. So with all of that, all right, how do we sustain, right? How do we get our new members in here? And this year we started a ninth grade ICP exploratory program. A lot of turning wheels, a lot of moving parts, a lot of people that had to really jump on the boat and say, yeah, let's get this done and help each other out. And again, just a huge shout out to our ICP teachers, because what they did is for 4 sessions in our advisory, we have advisory on Wednesdays, they took their pathway and they provided a 30-minute hands-on session for the ninth graders to go through so that they could learn a little bit more about what it means to be in the healthcare or the environmental science. And our ninth graders rotated through using our advisory groups, and they rotated through. They've gone through 3 exploratory sessions. We have our last one coming up this Wednesday. And then we'll meet again in January as a whole group, as a whole ninth grade, just to debrief and get them prepared for course selections, because we want the students who to be ready, right? And part of that is their course selections, which they'll do at the end of February for whichever career pathway that they're interested in. And it's been great. I mean, the energy in the building, we're hearing students, the ninth graders say, oh, is this an exploratory day? Oh, which one are you going to? Where are we going here? And some kids like it, the feedback we receive, we get feedback each week. Information technology might not be for someone, but they still engage in it and they still go through it, but they know that that's not what they want. Yet they might find that they really think that business and finance is cool and that they do have an interest in that. And that is exactly what we were looking to have happen through this exploratory program it's a buffet, right? Students are going to try a little bit of everything. And at the end, they're going to say, okay, where is my interest? Where would I like to go so that I can truly get the full engagement of one of these pathways? again, we've had our Upton Police and Fire Department join us. We've had the Lakes and Ponds and Streams. We've had students who are currently in Pathways help with their specific sessions as well. You have kids using the microscopes, you have kids who are in the ambulances. So, I think we kind of know that on a Wednesday, if we're seeing 2 ambulances and a fire truck in the circle at 10:30, it's okay. We don't panic, right? We had to prep everyone that first week. But it's okay because that's what it is. The kids got to go in and they got to learn from the professionals. And I have to tell you, they're just as excited to come in here and meet the kids and talk with the kids. So I think overall, I would say that this has been a real good success. Numbers will tell, right, in terms of the commitment. And I'm, just really, really proud of our ICP teachers because they really went above and beyond to make sure that the students got some really neat experiences and opportunities. So with that being said, we're going to introduce Will Lahar. He's done a little introduction here, but Will, come on up. You're not nervous, you're gonna be good.
Hello, everybody. So I unfortunately heard about the ICP a little bit too late. So I missed the first big event, but once I heard about it, I instantly reached out to Mrs. Bennett and wanted to join. I chose the business and finance one because all my life, especially when I was a kid, I wanted to be make a business and be as rich as Jeff Bezos, which I don't know if I'm getting to that point, but it's kind of stuck with me throughout my whole life. And especially since freshman year, I took classes like personal finance and intro to business. I really was able to learn more about business and more than I actually thought about it, which has just grown my interest towards it. And now I'm taking Microsoft Office. I have my certification in Word and PowerPoint, and hopefully in a month or so, I'll get mine in Excel. And then next semester, I think I just have to do accounting. I believe that's my last class to fully be in the business and finance ICP. And the biggest reason I joined is I want to get experience when I grow up, and I want to know what I want to do after college. I don't want to be lost and be stuck in a no man's land. So I'm looking forward to the 100-hour internship so I can really learn and see if I really want to be in business or if I want to try something else. That's about it.
Great. I think Will brings in, thank you, Will. He brings in a really great point about the internship and, to learn if he really wants to be in business. And that's one of the great things about the Pathways is, again, just the opportunity for students to say, yeah, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do healthcare before they actually make that true commitment with whatever happens after and that financial and time commitment that we know can take place. So that was a really good point to bring in. And, and those are the dialogues that we have ongoing that I have with the ICP students. And the first big event that Will reference is the commitment ceremony. So we did have a commitment ceremony in late February last year where basically the kids committed to saying, yes, this is what I want to do and this is the program. And because of that, they know that there are some specific courses, and I hate to tell you, well, you still have a few more courses that you need to take in ICP, but you'll be fine. You're going to do great with those. And again, it just allows us to filter in and just say, all right, where are our kids and what experiences are we going to provide for our students? We currently have our lone senior, Hannah Cotton. She was unfortunately unable to join us tonight. She's in the information technology and she's our lone senior ICP student. So she kind of jumped in and jumped right on board in her sophomore year. And we were just able to finagle just where she was at in her coursework. And right now she's doing her capstone project in cybersecurity. And so she's has built an app, a dot, right? And she's working with the town and the senior center. She's actually going to be presenting in January, I believe it is, to the senior center, what she's created. And basically her focus is she wants to make sure that people aren't taken advantage of, right? And so, with the cybersecurity and with the what she created, the app that she created. It's a way for seniors to talk back and forth, right? Bringing in that AI perspective of, is this real? Is this not? What should I look for? And so she's just really passionate about that. Ryan might be able to add a little bit more because I know that she's also collaborating with Ryan on this project. So she's our first one, which I'm super excited about. And then we have a bunch of juniors that will be coming through next year, and then we have our sophomores and freshmen. So we have a lot to be proud of. So, am I doing this slide?
If you're less.
Okay. So I guess coming soon, I see some of this. I'm like junior internship, so that would be me again in our fabulous program that we have. So we'll talk about that. Or do you want me to expand?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, go on.
Career-based experiences. Again, the ICPs will share some of the experiences that we have. And then you can see that picture right there is the signing day. So that was our commitment day. You can see some of the swag that the students get when they do commit. You know, it is important. We're building this community right now. We want students to be able to talk about ICPs the way that they talk about TECA, right? Or maybe the way they talk about best buddies, right? We want this to be a community and a family that students are proud to be part of and to represent, because they can share all the greatness that they're going to experience and create. And we're making some good strides, I would say, this year. You know, we're in our third year with the ICP. And like I said, there's just some really nice energy rolling through and with the ideas and the conversations that we're having with our staff when it comes to our pathways. So thank you very much.
All right, I got a lot of questions. How many years have we doing ICP now? 30.
This is
30.
How many years? This is our third year. The first, the information technology was brought on in fall 2023. That was before I arrived in 2023. We brought on the business and finance pathway, and this year was the environmental science and healthcare.
I love seeing that there's one person interested in environmental science who said, all right, let's add it. You know, there wasn't like oh, we need at least 3 or 5 people to run the program. Let's get it started. Let's get it going. I really like that. One of the things I'd really like to see as time goes on is tracking kids after graduation. This is one of the programs I think is critical, and seeing kids go through it and hopefully declaring their major early on, right? Graduating in 4 years.
Sure.
Like this is a program to facilitate that. And it's
We're 1 for 1. Hannah's going to our IT for cybersecurity. And
batting 1,000.
so we're batting 1,000.
Yeah, so I think it's great. I think it's really great. And how do you guys facilitate, like, if you have a lot of interest, but there's not a lot of companies out there willing to take on high school students? Like, what's your process for identifying it?
So the process that we're going through is the shameless plug that I just put out to you folks in the community for experience. And so we also reach out to our staff, right? You know, to people that are there. There will be information coming in our community newsletters in terms of where we're at and what is needed in terms of experiences. And I'll also say that because of the junior internship program, which has really expanded, the number of partnerships that have been created through that program can carry over into the ICP, because many of the ICP students, for example, Will's a sophomore, so he's not part of that, but many of our ICP students are doing the junior internship program. So if they're doing something in finance for the junior internship program, we're just going to see if we might be able to carry that right over into their innovation career pathways opportunities. We can't use the hours for junior internship for ICP, but we certainly can use the connections. And those are the dialogues that take place with the mentors.
Plus, this is also the first year, our junior, like we have 1 senior, right? The Hannah's
Right, Hannah.
Hannah, who's again batting 1,000 storm cybersecurity. But this is the first year where we're going to have juniors that are going to be going through the internship process, then hopefully maybe moving on to doing something for their capstone, maybe through the connection from internship or some of the other connections that we have through internship. Because the internship program, I've only been here like 1.5 years, and it's already gone.
Great.
It's already gone from how many?
Yeah.
Did you start off with 20?
20 the first year, 40 last year, and we have over 70 this year.
So constant, and that's in addition to the fact that we have the sophomore job shadow.
Their
as
career
well,
shadow
their
day.
Career shadow day. So there's lots of opportunities and connections that we have. For some of the programs, I think healthcare will, to Tara's point, will be the toughest to find because there's going to be limited space that they can go to and like go working in an ER, go and working in hospital. But as the numbers grow, then on the other programs, we're just constantly reaching out to the community. We just had some ILD planning sessions with our staff, and part of that is going to be identifying what are the community partners we need for these Inspired Learning Days, which will then turn to partners that we can potentially ask if they want to have these connections. And it doesn't have to be an internship. It could just be a career-based experience that the students can work with. Like anything that we can get them to feel like this doesn't live on paper in their schedule, but they're really experienced that push forward their interest to identify where they want to be.
Another important piece to add to this is and I say this to the junior interns as well, is you may know what your end goal is. Recognize that you're not going to reach your end goal right now, right? You're going to get steps and get experiences and exposure, whether it's to the language or to the experiences, for example, getting the certifications in Microsoft Office or in the Google marketing certifications. Those are steps, right? It's a process to get to where you want to go. We've all experienced that. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going right in this place. And with that being said, we want to get the students exposed to that career type. So in healthcare, it might not be in the ER, which is where you want to go, but we might be able to get you into your pediatrician's office to experience what it does look like. And those are the personal connections, that's when I talk to the interns, it's, hey, why don't you call your pediatrician? They've known you for a long time. They might be willing to host you and to have you there. And so it's those conversations that will help build up the experiences as well.
There's some luxury that on the ICP team, we have a counselor. So as part of the MindCap process, knowing that we have someone that's familiar with the MindCap process, which is that career planning, and they're on the team as we're starting to strategize on where are we going to get kids going for internships? What are they interested in? How are we going to get more people to get into these programs? And then even that MindCap, some of those career interests are starting to go down into the middle school as well. The middle school just onboarded their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students to a career cluster interest survey, which is going to help start identify those experiences down there as well that will just further carry on.
So you said you had 70 in the entire program so far?
Oh, that's for the junior internship. For the ICPs, we have 40 students currently. I will tell you that number will increase once we get the freshmen committed and onboarded, but we're not there yet with them.
So how many, okay, so break it down for me. How many were in IT? And then you put numbers in like
Sure.
Finance and business was 20, 1 in environmental science.
Yep, we have 13 in healthcare and 6 in the IT.
Okay, I see.
6 in the IT.
I think it was 6 in
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's only 6. Yeah.
So, part of that, and there's a reason why we did some of the rebranding. Part of that is with the information technology pathway. The coursework was pretty straightforward. I would say that there wasn't as much opportunity for students to choose their courses, where in our healthcare and in our business and finance, there is still required courses that they have to take. That's all part of the application and part of the process with DESE. But then there is that experience, right, for students with their advanced courses to say, okay, maybe it's AP Stats, it's AP Lang, it's AP Spanish, and it's AP Economics, right? Those would be 4 choices, or a dual an early college class, right? Those would be the choices for the students to take for their advanced coursework. And information technology just didn't have that flexibility. So as students got up into their senior year, and they needed to take a course and find that time, it just didn't really mesh as nicely as it did. So we did lose a couple of seniors in that manner, but that's okay because we find them other experiences. Again, I have someone doing a senior internship, something different because of that. And so I know with the information technology and just the way that we're working and, trying to have a little more choice options in terms of the coursework, that those numbers are going to improve with the information technology.
So were they able to switch? Is that how they just left the ICP program?
They
Did
did.
switch?
No, yeah, they chose not to switch because again, they were seniors. And so they kind of already had their pathway established and they jumped in a little bit later. Again, they weren't coming in as a freshman or a sophomore. They were coming in as juniors. So it's just a little bit later and it's a little bit tighter in terms of their schedule and the choices that they needed to make.
Well, we've
and
been
wanted
seeing
to make.
this develop for so long. It's fun to see it actually taking place and what
Yeah.
kids are doing with it. It's fun.
So lead on to your question then, if you don't mind. How do we talk about it at the Nipmuc Showcase?
So at the Nipmuc Showcase, we had, well, you were there for our Portrait of a Learner, right? So we did have the video set up. I did have another student who is in Innovation Career Pathways who was there and presented, was at the table. I know that when the principals spoke to it,
Presented to everybody or
it was presented to everyone.
the student presented to everybody?
For students, the way this has rolled out is when I first arrived, we presented it to the freshmen and the sophomores and the juniors, which is how we got some sophomores a couple of years ago, you know, moving along. And
I guess, let me go back to my point. I apologize. I'm probably not asking clear. Having been through the showcase multiple times, I don't ever remember seeing this. I think it's just a big miss.
I could jump in if you want.
Please, yeah.
So the past 2 years, we've had slides specifically highlighting ICP and speaking directly to the career programming. I think it's a critical part of our career programming that's growing, but we talked also about career shadowing. We talked about the expansion of the junior internship program, really letting students and parents know that they're going to have a suite of options available to them that a NIPMUC graduate from even 5 years ago didn't have. One of the questions I asked the crowd when we were there was, how many graduated from NIPMUC or had students graduate from NIPMUC already? And some hands went up. And I talked about the commonalities they would see were the relationships, the connection to the community. But what's different is this.
Right.
This did not exist. So I made that point explicitly to say this is the new NIPMUC.
Yeah, that's cool. We really gotta get this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I have just a question. So maybe a more fundamental question is, what exactly is this? What does it mean when a student enrolls in ICP? How does that change their experience going through high school compared to a student that doesn't?
yeah, that's a great question. And that's part of what Will is experiencing right now. And I would say that Hannah has probably the most experience because she's at the point where she's doing her immersive experience, right, in her capstone project. But what it means for a student to make a commitment to one of our innovation career pathways is that they are committing to learning more about an interest that they have and to taking their skills that they are building in all other classes, learning their durable skills and making that application in different experiences. What we've alluded to is we are now at the point where we are developing what is that exciting experience, right? What is it that we can say, well, I'm an ICP student, so I got to go do this, right? I'm an ICP student, so we did this, right? Whether it's going to a conference in February on sports marketing, right, that the students are going to go to, or if they are going to get onto a campus to visit a healthcare immersive program, right, and a lab that they have that, we just don't have here, but let's go show you what this is going to look like. It's pieces along that line that will set students apart in ICP, in addition to the industry-related credentials, the IRCs that they're going to gain, in addition to that 100-hour experience, immersive experience that they will have their senior year.
So sort of, I'm trying to, because I like your question so much, I'm trying to elaborate on it. So not if you forgive me. Does this align with students who want to take AP courses?
Yes.
Does this align with students who want to spend extra time on the focus area that they want, possibly at the expense of other areas at school?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, part of every pathway has to have 2 technical courses, which are in the field. So whether it be science classes or in the business and marketing, and then 2 advanced classes, which are AP classes, project lead the way classes. That's already baked into it. And then that 100-hour internship or capstone project they do gives them that extra time. I'll say I have been working with Hannah a little bit this year, and she's spending a ton of time. She's getting to work with Ms. Routes down in the media center. She's interacting with myself. She's talking with the director of the senior center in Upton. So these are experiences that a normal student wouldn't get. They're in their normal classes taking, you know, what they need to graduate. While these students could be going to campuses and going to a cyber range or going to a conference or in a classroom getting OSHA certification that's going to propel them and look a lot better when they're looking for their jobs, even if they don't go into the program. Like I came from a vocational background when I first started teaching, and even if they didn't continue on in carpentry or plumbing, they all had their OSHA certification. So when they were looking for a job on a job site, or when they were just looking for an after-school job, they were already put ahead of other kids because
It's almost like we're taking the advanced courses of NIPMOC and making them project-based learning, like automatically.
I would say that just with our focus on authentic learning in all of our courses, that's happening, you know, not just in the AP, you know,
Right,
just
right.
that authenticity and the
But there
leveling
is a
up.
distinction there. For my kids, going through APs was fulfilling some basic requirements so
Sure.
they could get into college at a certain degree. This is giving more perspective to kids in high school about when they're taking APs, which is kind of cool.
it's also opening the opportunities for kids that may not be a typical AP student. Like we're not typically think to take an AP class, but since it's part of the program, then they are going to be taking AP. And we've thought a lot about how can we offer supports for students. Maybe this is going to be the first AP class they've ever taken.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do for supports to make sure that student is successful?
You made me think of three things. But what you just said, an AP student, right? We're classifying someone as an AP student or not. But the fact is, if they're highly interested in business or technology, they don't need to be AP in history or social studies, right? It's AP in computer science, right? Like that's the thing that they're already interested in, and we want to encourage that. So we kind of rephrase the AP student.
And I think when I say it's like traditionally, like we think people think of a traditional AP student where all our students can take AP classes. And to your point, they're going to be more willing and more successful to take AP classes if it's in their interest, and we can offer some supports if it is their first class.
Those are the classes that Will still is getting ready to take.
Looking one so far.
Yeah.
And what's the process? Someone commits and then they're like, oh crap, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of what's happened with some of our seniors. They'll come and they'll talk with me or their counselor, and you know, it's okay. They're not signing in blood or anything, you know, it's just that commitment of where we're at. But we have the conversation as to why, you know, what is it that you're looking for? And that, you know, that really generated some of the conversations about adding AP stats, for example, into the information technology pathway, was to open up that opportunity for students who maybe didn't have the cybersecurity focus the way that Hannah does, right? But is very much interested in the pathway, and AP stats falls right into the need to
It's the
support.
foundation of data science. I mean,
Right.
that's it.
Right.
So.
And it's a lot cheaper than figuring that out after $60,000.
Exactly. Exactly.
I do think it might be beneficial. So I'm good friends with the president of the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. So I think it might be a good conversation to create a channel between some of the businesses there. But then also potentially Worcester State has a great nursing program. So if we could kind of create a pipeline of, you know, into we have a pipeline and a school ready to accept kids, you know, they get fast tracked. That would
Absolutely.
program. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Any other questions? It's a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of
questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Well, thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent and administrative reports. Oh,
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with some district updates, and thanks everybody, while Sam gets the presentation up and running. One of the first updates relates to the NIPMUC heat and the boilers. What we found on Friday was that when the custodians came in and the principals came in, it was pretty cold in the building, and what they noticed, the boilers weren't operating. They worked really hard for a number of hours in the morning, and it seems to be a control, like a main control issue in the system. We have one of their, Ken said, I think he called him an expert in the system. He's coming in tomorrow morning. Everything is up and running. They got it up and running and stabilized over the weekend. But it was too cold to stay in the building on Friday. So that's why we had to do that dismissal. And they're coming in to plug into the system and try to see if they can, troubleshoot or figure out what caused the error of them talking to one another, the boilers. But these are
This with the new EMS that was just.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. These are, we haven't installed any of that yet into the high school. These boilers are new. They were installed 3 years ago, but they're much more advanced technologically. And some of the repairs, they were working hard. I mean, we had all hands on deck, that whole morning and throughout the day, but it took a few days to get it up and running.
I'm sorry, what was the problem again?
It's the main control system.
Oh, so there's a glitch or something broken?
That's what they're going to be investigating tomorrow. He has a tool that connects in, and then they can try to see where the errors were taking place. But yeah. Anything else specific you want to add, Jay, on a more technical term, or did I cover it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not, it's something within the computer system of what, it's nothing to do with building management systems or any of that kind of stuff. Computers, as I said, over the weekend,
Some
computers
sort of
have a mind
glitch.
of their own. This one decided it was time to take the day off.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming in tomorrow to see if they can figure out, they didn't identify a specific cause. They got the system running, but the loop temperature of the water was too cold. So there's a lot of things going on. They're gonna figure it out tomorrow, I'm pretty sure.
But thank you to Ken, Brett, and the network team that worked really hard to try to get it up and running on that Friday. They were kind of trying to work on, when things don't work in your computer and you do like the general reset. They were trying all different ways to do the reset, and often that will work if one of the boilers goes down, but we have 3 in there, and it was a series because it was related to the control system. We'll keep
Surprised
you
there's not a
posted.
Manual, just run, just go.
There was a lot of
They do.
resetting, there was, but
It wasn't.
it wasn't picking up after we did it a number of times. Yeah, and it normally does. We're normally able to do that when something happens. All right, yeah, we have it up, great. So if you can move it along, updates. The second, just wanted to share, I know we've been sharing a lot about it, but this is kind of unusual because we had the improvement in our math scores, and then I reported out the fact that we presented at the success conference that they've never had before, but now they're having with the new commissioner. And then at that conference, we were asked if we could present to some other groups or maybe be highlighted in a curriculum matters updates. We have a follow-up meeting with someone else from a different part of DESE on that. And then someone else from a different department reached out and said, and they're more connected to the Student Opportunity Act, and said, can we come and observe the practices, the best practices in action? Thank you to Shell and the principals who organized a great visit for that representative, and that took place on Thursday. And they observed classes. They were able to observe a data meeting at Memorial. And just as a reminder, over the course of it was a 3-year grant, but we got an extension this year too, because we were having positive impact. So with the positive impact with the grant, we kept getting it, thanks to Cheryl as well. But we've received about $550,000 approximately over the course of the last 4 years as a result of this work and the grant writing. But also to know, even though it's been covering some of our curriculum acquisition, we use some of those funds to help out and help with the budget the last couple of years, professional learning, instructional partners, teacher leader development. This is the last year of that grant for us. Although we thought last year was last year, and then they had an extension, we got a little bit more, like $50,000.
What are they looking at that they're so impressed? Which scores are they looking at?
Math, elementary.
Which MCAS? What is it?
Sorry, MCAS, yeah. We were back to the pre-pandemic. So there are a number of schools, some that we were recognized. So I went out, I'm losing track of our months, but a couple months ago, they had a ceremony and I went out to Arlington, all the districts were recognized there for the press release and all the press were there with the commissioner. And then there's just been all these follow-up and focus that part of his focus, the new commissioner is from DESE is just to focus on success and trying to share the successes. And so they were able to observe, we know our data work and data systems and our high quality instructional materials, we spoke a lot about that, have really had an impact. So if you recall, we did a review of our math curriculum materials when we talk about these instructional reviews of curriculum. And we implemented the high quality instructional materials at Bridges and math, and that's part of the impact on top of the data and some of the work that they're doing in the schools as well. Right.
It seems like when you presented the MCAS scores, it wasn't that great.
Oh, man, I need to do a better presentation.
That is a better headline. Yeah.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Okay, areas for growth.
Like, how stack ranked are we? I guess that's, I dug more into that data. I don't know if you had a chance since then. But we're back to pre-pandemic, which is awesome. But do we feel like if we set a goal, are we at our goal?
Well, no.
Okay. And what is our goal?
Was there something?
Bro, yeah, over 10 percentile, 20 percentile this year.
Yeah.
Like greater than the mean.
Yeah.
Good growth.
That's good growth.
No matter
Absolutely.
what your end goal is.
Yeah, did they
So-
call to find out how we did it? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
what warranted the visit? Was it the
Yeah.
proof that we actually had something we
Well,
did?
it's actually what you're talking about. It's the flip of it, right? They see the results and they want to know, well, how did you do
Okay,
that?
Cool.
And so we were able to identify part of our SOA grant, we target what we plan to improve, right? So we're getting some funding in order to help those improvements. And so we have to track and show a lot of data with that. So we have that, but also we know and in working with the principals and with Cheryl and the team that there are certain elements of best practices that we're putting in place and we can see as a result that it's making some changes in some areas. So it's about, they want to be able to go forward and replicate it in other areas.
That's a big success.
So when we presented at the conference a couple weeks ago, and was that last month? I don't know. I feel like every week we've been doing something with DESE the last 3 or 4 weeks, but when we presented, we also benefited from being there because all the other schools, there are other schools that were presenting and were able to have takeaways too, what they did in different areas too. So just want to bring that forward and some highlights in there. Strategic priorities, just wanted to share a couple. I know some of these were in some of your background notes and memos, but just to highlight.
Sorry, can I just-
Oh, yeah.
Who are you presenting to? Is it to others like superintendents and things, or is it like
This was,
DESE,
yeah, it was both. It was leaders. It was all mostly leaders of schools or districts. So you had superintendents, assistant superintendents, and principals, and some curriculum coordinators. And it was only from the schools that were at the success conference that had success, which was, we always thought was kind of interesting, because we're only kind of sharing amongst, but I think they're trying to gather the ideas across the state of what's working in order to share it more broadly in the future.
so if you weren't invited to present, you wouldn't have been invited to attend?
No, we were invited to attend and then we said we'd be interested in presenting. They asked if anyone would like to present and we said we would be willing to, and they chose us when we gave them our application for presenting. But then when we were there, someone else came over and said, can you present on their curriculum and implementation? And Cheryl said, well, yeah, sure. I just presented at another implementation on, how we evaluate, but sure, we can do it on how we implement too, because there are many stages to that process. It's been good though. It's been nice, ongoing recognition. So I want to share it publicly.
Hey, the
Other questions?
50 grand is great.
Yeah, right? That was a surprise, yeah. All right, so a couple highlights here. Ryan was just here. He is leading our science, technology, engineering curriculum review. He so far has coordinated some observations with some of our science teachers to see Open SciEd in action at MISCO, which we're piloting. It's one of the curriculum programs and resources that we're taking a look at. What's been nice is he's been able to coordinate our department chairs as part of this work as well. They've already completed their vision statement and priorities for the process. We kind of have a very staged process that follows the implement process from the state. And they're in the beginning stages of it, but we're making some progress. So just giving a little progress on that. Charles, we held a DCAP meeting every 4 to 5 years. We revise our district curriculum accommodation plan, which is a requirement. We think ours is pretty excellent, but we do revise it every year and get lots of feedback from members of our community. And we are in that state, the review year. So from what we gave in a couple months ago, we had a meeting and we shared some of our ideas and suggestions, and she's coming forward and just sharing out a draft, and we'll continue to work on that. And then from students, Director of Student Services, Frank, he's been collaborating with team chairs. Just wanted to let you know, there's been a big evaluation of all of our programming. So we'll continue to just give you some of the highlights of some of the changes or things that we're working on. And this was in one of the memos that I shared with you prior, but they're creating a standardized referral and assessment procedure to determine the need for individualized paraprofessional support. And they're hoping that this will strengthen our ability to allocate resources effectively and equitably, and make sure we have a consistent, unbiased method, and make sure it's data-driven. So we're still in process with that, but the conversations have been really good and productive. A couple. There, any questions before I move on?
I have a question about the DCAP revision.
Sure.
Yeah. Have you noticed with the revision of the DCAP a reduction in requests or qualifications for 504 plans?
With the revision of the document?
Yeah, the accommodations that are included.
No, I would say we're not noticing a reduction at all. The document is a resource meant to kind of like, provide the community, but also staff, like ideas and stuff like that. And so I guess the purpose isn't to reduce requests, and if there was a concern, we'd actually want families or staff members to raise it so that we could make sure that the students have what they need.
I ask because I've noticed over my time in the district with my kids that the DCAP has become more robust, and things that in order to qualify to get certain accommodations, for example, extended time on testing, you would have to go through sort of the 504 process with a disability. And I'm wondering that now, since some of those things that were sort of standard 504 accommodations are now open to all students, regardless of disability status, whether or not you're finding fewer kids require.
I'm almost curious. I mean, we did not have a DCAP when I entered this district in 2013-14. So it was one of the findings or something that we had to put in place right away in my first year. And I wonder if it's reduced from the general time. I can't say post like COVID or in the last 5 years that we've necessarily seen that, because I think generally, we're seeing trends a little bit upwards in general with 504s, but I wonder if we had a lot prior or not. I don't know if I have that data to go track that back, but I remember there were conversations about that because some of those general accommodations weren't really in place a decade ago, and now they are. So the logic would be that perhaps it would reduce for some because the students are receiving it, but I don't know if that's numbers wise the case.
Yeah, the key
That's a great question.
to create the systems to enable the use of it, right? And the resources are great, but one of the things that we're really excited about is like enabling educators through a tool that was created. And I love it. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And so the ability to do things like that will make it easier and more systematic for educators to be able to really think about and incorporate those tier one accommodations when they need it.
Keep going. A couple quick updates on grants. Our capital skills grant, we spoke about this earlier this year, the fact that we received it. We put in for about 150,000. I think we received close to 100,000. And as a result, it came back and we needed to reduce and make some adjustments. So the team did this really quickly because we were advised to have a very quick turnaround on this process. If we show that we are responsible and efficient, then when we will have the ability to apply again for a capital skills grant, and we were told more likely to have a chance to receive it in the future. We qualified for this because we're an ICP school, so just know that. And that I'm really proud of the team for the revisions that they made, and they're already started to have meetings and process for planning. It's all going to take place in the media center at some point when they have more refinement on some of the details in that process. We'll definitely have them come in and talk about what some of those decisions are, but it's ranging from movable furniture. We're definitely getting, new flooring in there as well. There's structural changes that they're hoping to open up more space for other classrooms, and also different equipment. Just like when we have at the IIC in the middle school, we don't have similar equipment here that we can be using, especially to support some of our programming we're trying to bring in. So they can come back, but it's a whole team of people working on it. Our new library media specialist, Tara Bennett's working on, Ryan's working on it, John, Marianne, and the team as well.
So this is something you can apply for year after year?
If they have it available, yeah.
And what other things would qualify? Like, do we have a list of priorities for next year?
They probably do. If they were sitting here, they would say, yes, this is what we have to cut what we had. I can't remember exactly what they said, but yes. And also there's a nature of like some of our programming is evolving. So we may think a couple of years ago, this is what we need, but then with student interest and as we get more into these pathways, we may find, oh, you know what, we don't have something for the healthcare pathway. We can really get this, and the capital skills grant might be able to deliver that on items that we hadn't even thought about a couple of years ago.
That is the next step. It's the healthcare room.
Did I say it right?
You did.
Nice, I even just guessed that. All right, good. All right, federal update, just general. This came through, I get monthly or weekly, I don't know, lots of updates on federal grants, state grants, and just kind of read through we will be talking about when we get to just budget, the impact. Some of the impact does come from federal funding on our budget, but also uncertainty from federal funding impacts our state because the state receives a lot of funding. Some it's direct to us, others it's to the state and filters through and can have an impact. But just as a reminder, they've had the continuing resolution to reopen the federal government. For the school year, next school year, the federal education funding levels have not been resolved and are still subject to negotiation. So we don't have any information yet on that. If Congress can't come to an agreement on FY27 funding levels by January 30th, they have to pass another continuing resolution or shut down the government again. One thing that did go through is continuous national school meals. They did receive a full year appropriation through next September. We received a ton of notices that said last month that informed us of transitions of the different departments with them dissolving or essentially dissolving the federal U.S. Education Department. And with that, some of it's heading over to the U.S. Department of Labor, and they have these interagency agreements. So all of the programs that were impacted on, and I have it kind of listed up there, but Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, we're impacted. I mean, that's the funding that we get. Also McKinney-Vento Homeless Act, amongst some others. Some things that changed, the IDEA programs for the moment are with the Department of Ed as well as the Office for Civil Rights, but with the number of positions that were reduced from that department, some of the functions or referrals that go to it, even if someone put in a complaint or something to the federal government or this government, we wouldn't hear things for 2 years after a complaint was put in. And we might get a notification on something, just to give you an example. So I don't even know what the lag time would be if there were complaints that were put in, or compliance. Sometimes there's a lot of compliance issues that come out, and we have notifications of what we have to comply with. So just give you a sense, if I get something that seems like a significant update, I'll let you know when those come through. Questions on that? All right. Now the fun stuff. Even though this isn't officially our, school, all of these students, or almost all of our students, are our students. And just want to publicly say congratulations to the cheer team. They came in 4th in the country in nationals, and I hear it was like flawless, perfect scores, the best that they ever did. And we had a large group and contingent from our students at Clough and Memorial, and I know we're really proud of them. Winter concerts, I was able to attend the vertical course concert last week. It's really neat to see the middle and high school together and performing. It's pretty incredible to have them all on stage, and that the images don't even quite capture like how many students were on the stage there, but just give you a sense. And we have other winter concerts coming up this week. Band concerts. Other highlights, I'm going to go fast. We have the Blackstone Valley Promising Practices. That event takes place tomorrow morning. This year's recipients from our districts are from Clough, Mrs. Keenan, Mrs. Esker, Mrs. Borkowski, Mrs. Walensky, and they're being recognized for their Trickster Tales. If you remember, it was a writing project that they had with students. And the Promising Practices has been going on for, gosh, I don't know, as long as I've ever remembered. So I've been doing this stuff for 20 years, so at least 20 years. We had the Battle International Food Truck Student Showcase took place today at Nipmuc, where students were able to research global cuisines, design unique food truck concepts, prepare for tastings. You had students talking that came and presented on their newspaper, and the Clough Newsbreaker, which is the name of it, was just published. Our history department, I just want to congratulate them. They presented at the National Council for Social Studies Conference in DC during the first week of December, and their work with civic action projects was what they presented on, particularly their legacy projects, which is continuing beyond the first year of a civic action project. I think they presented on this or spoken to this here, but it's been really well received at our state conferences and national as well. CPAC is now newly formed. And I want to thank Frank for his support in that. They'll be holding a meeting this Wednesday at 6:30 in the PDC, so all new members are welcome to join and attend. And not school related, but as much as I love being at school committee, I do. I mean, it is my job. I was so sad when Rob McMurray reached out to me. He's a grade 3 teacher, to tell me he finally found out when he's going to be doing the mock storytelling grand slam, and it was tonight in Boston and Hanover, so I couldn't go. But there's a lot of, hopefully he did really well, but I don't know if you're familiar with this in the podcast or anything, but he won a regional event. So last year he's been waiting to find out when the Grand Slam event was, and it's tonight and at the Huntington Theater. Cool. So I wanted to kind of give him a shout out here, since we're thinking of, and I know a lot of members of our community are at that event to support him. And that's all I had for highlights. Awesome. Questions before I move on? No? All right. Cool. So next up, we're going to do the capital project presentation. I'll highlight it for you. Would you be able to pull that up? And we'll be talking about budget after that.
So we want to get to Maureen to Boston, so this is going, it's fine, let's just move on. All right, capital project. There is a lot going on, even though it doesn't always seem like it. We had a meeting today with the people from Vertex and Habib and Associates. Thursdays we meet with CHA and Civitex. First of all, the good news is on December 12th, which is last Friday, the MSBA voted to approve our proposed accelerated project and the budget that was proposed based on the cost estimates. They did include the underpiece of the canopy around the auditorium, so that's a positive thing. They set what they call a maximum total facility grant, but of course that really depends. They reimburse you based on what you actually spend. So this is based on estimates that they have so far. But this is all in line with what we anticipated. So that's positive news pretty much all the way around. They did send an email requesting certification of the votes that we have the funding for the project. Since we already do, I have probably 8 documents from each town, which I will send to them this week. And hopefully that will take care of that. We can only hope. As far as the bid package for the HVAC equipment, a couple of the rooftop units, the heat pump type systems, they're telling us now it could be a 6 to 8 month lead time on those things. So that kind of puts some pressure on getting it in by the summer. They said what I heard them say, both of them, was that they'd have contingencies in place so that school will open without any issues in the beginning of the fall, whether they're there or not. If it means putting back the old stuff initially in order to keep the systems working, they'll do whatever they have to do. So I don't think there's a risk of that, but there is a pretty hefty lead time on those particular pieces of equipment.
Originally, it was supposed to be to have them arrive and start that work in July. So now it's pushed into August.
It could be sooner. They did say this is what they're telling us, but it had to do, forget if they said it was production or supply chain, but it was improving, so it could get better.
That was the average.
Right. All right, as far as that goes, Beals and Thomas continues to work on the fields. I know that they have, and this is good for us because we couldn't find them. There are cleanouts, metal covered cap cleanouts for the leach field at Bisco. They're supposedly, supposed to be 3 inches underground. Apparently they were close to a foot underground, but they did find, so that's a good thing. They're coming out Thursday to try and open them up and try and see how the system is working to make sure that everything's working properly. So that's happening this Thursday morning. The other thing that's come up, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, we have to get a variance from the Board of Health for the number of bathroom stalls in the bathrooms in the concession stand. The number is determined by the number of bleacher seats you have. The number for bleacher seats right now, I keep hearing the number 800. I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
It was like, right now they're at 800, but in the meeting today, it was 560. They didn't know if that's what the number was before, but with the estimate for 800, then we need 7 bathrooms.
No, 14 stalls and ladies.
Well, 14, but they would get a variance, so it
Right.
would be for 50%, so it would be 7 and 4. Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, well, Jeff said that he was working with a number of 560.
Yeah.
800 is a.
And Melissa
Nice
was
to have.
working with the 800.
Yeah, so I think we're in the middle somewhere. We don't know what the problem is. We don't know what the full budget is yet. And then we can cherry pick the ideas that don't cost too much money.
So,
because that's a big one that would cost a lot of extra.
Yeah. We also will have to go to conservation in both towns, most likely planning board in both towns, and possibly zoning boards. So that's something we have to keep in mind. This is all something that the OPMs and the architects will handle, but that also takes time to get in front of boards and get hearings for all that sort of stuff. We did provide them last week with a list of equipment for the fields, athletic stuff. It came from Chris Schmidt. We also last week give them a list of all the rooms that are going to need carpeting and tile, the bathrooms that are going to be redone, the doors that we want to do card access to. So all that information was provided to them by us last week. So I think they're diligently working on all of that. As far as the contract with Vertex, our attorneys and theirs have agreed with the terms in them. The contract is now in the hands of Vertex. They're going to put it up into an official document, sign and get it over to us hopefully this week. I already talked about these. I jumped ahead slides in my head. Habib and Associates did have somebody from their team measuring rooms to get the square footage for the rooms. The media center, I think Maureen mentioned this earlier, we're going to handle that flooring separately. We're getting a quote for that right now. So that will get done probably sometime this spring, sooner the better.
With the capital skills, we have to expend all of those funds this year. And they said the sooner you show that you're diligent in doing so, it will help with a future ask.
So the flooring will be paid for out of the capital project, but it'll get done while they clean out the area there. Let's see, as far as the generator at the Misco, one of the questions came up is, does the town want to use Misco as an emergency shelter location? So I did reach out to find out what emergency shelter locations are in the town. Apparently it's the senior center, and then Clough is a secondary, and Misco was used for something else, but emergency shelters are supposed to have showers, and none of our schools have showers. I mean, the showers at Misco don't work anymore. They may have when Eric went there, but he may have broken. But they don't work now. We don't have showers at Clough. So I did send them the information from what I got from the town of Mendon related to that. They're still trying to spec out sizes of generators. We talked about that a little bit today. They're trying to get different prices because some of that will play into whether we have to change the switch gear depending on whether we power the entire building or only pieces of it. Ken gave me a list of what he thinks are the critical needs that we have to power, which I'll get off to them this week as well. So that's that. And I think that's about all I have on the capital project. There's lots of things going on around there. People are coming and visiting. We're still in the planning stage, obviously. The hope is to get the bids out for most of this stuff at Nipmuc and most of the field stuff in the buildings sometime around March. The roof should go out. HVAC should be January. Excuse me, the rest of the roof will be March sometime.
In today's meeting, we talked about, what was it, borings?
Oh, test borings. We have to do
Yeah.
geotech. Yes.
Geotech, is that the same?
Yes. So
Yeah, the RFP for that.
we have to dig basically holes to find out if the soil is suitable to hold a light pole, which obviously you don't want to put it down 2 feet and have it tip over in a game. That wouldn't be good. So that has to get done, and that was not part of anybody's contract. So that would be an additional expense that we have to do. Vertex is putting together an RFP. The Beaven Associates is reviewing it. They were deciding where we had to dig these holes.
So just to net out the, if you just made a big picture of the project, net out what phase we're in. We're before bids, right?
Yes.
You got the plan, the plan's good. Now we have to go to the contractors to get bids.
Well, so we don't have designs. We're still working at getting designs for the roof and the HVAC stuff. I think they should be 100% in January.
And a lot of that is understanding the dynamics of the soil and everything. All these, you got to do a lot of investigations. It costs a lot of money to get all the information together, so you know what to present for the bid.
It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, when you think about it, and we did pass this capital project, but there are a lot of components to it. And I think Maureen and I and Sean, because he's been attending the meetings, you kind of come out of these meetings going, "Oh, that's a lot."
It felt like a fire hose today. It was fast. There was a lot.
Well,
It was just the budget and here and it just kept, it was a lot.
They deserve a lot of credit,
There was a lot
honestly,
today.
because last meeting, there was a ton of stuff that had to be submitted immediately for them to make progress on the estimations and the bids. And Jeff had a very good outline of all the contingencies that he had for the budget. I'm trying to find out anything. They needed all that information this week, and they did a great job. So Ken as well. Ken did a great job. Thank you very much for that. I was pretty intimidated last week.
So just so you know, as soon as the meeting's over, within about 15 seconds, Sean texts me and calls me to say something, and I can never take the call because I'm in the middle of the meeting with
Because I
somebody.
walk over from my office in here and Ken's there, we're like, all right.
Strategizing how to tackle it.
Right.
I know if he's busy, I know the meeting. So
Anyway,
It is
so
awesome, and that's great. I'm glad things, and it sounds like Vertex has been very helpful along the way, keeping things moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
yeah, they're doing a great job so far. I have no issues with the guys on the roof project either. Everybody seems to be moving and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So things are going along. But like I said,
I like Jeff because he will actually say in the middle of the meeting, are you guys gonna get this done? Are you guys gonna get this done? Because that's critical. We need this.
And Jeff is the top guy.
Yeah.
And he's the only
So
one.
he's still in the meetings right now as
There's
we
no
get
problem
it.
telling the people what to do. So no problem.
It's been good.
all right. So is there any other questions on the capital? Okay, so I'm done, right?
I think we have a minor thing called the budget.
That 27th budget.
We get to launch the budget process tonight.
All right. You starting with me?
I can start.
Okay. We haven't rehearsed who
We
takes
did it,
what
we
yet.
did it. All right, next slide, please. All right, so a quick overview. This is, and we will say this at least 10 times. You can tally it up, right? And you can keep track, all right? This is the first stage in this process. The numbers that we come forward with are not the final numbers. They are beginning numbers. We will keep saying that. We will go over some revenue estimates based on a lot of assumptions and some facts, but others are just based on assumptions. Expenditure requests will highlight some of the main drivers, but we won't get into all of the details and all of those. That will come along when you have the subsequent presentations that we do. I have a list of the general requested new positions because I always like to kind of show where we begin, and later on that will be very much refined and explained, especially in budget subcommittees, and we'll share where the gap is. A reminder on the next slide of our strategic priorities, which we try to do our best to link to our decision making related to the budget. On the next slide, we are in our budget cycle. We are towards the end of the initial estimates and requests. We had meetings with all of our departments. They submitted a couple weeks ago their initial budget request, and we spent 2 weeks meeting with them. And then over the last few days, end of last week, Jay started to put them all together so we would be able to come forward with some preliminary numbers. I started looking at enrollment projections and some of that, but the next phase, there are other steps with class sizes, et cetera, that we'll be going into. And all of the presentations on budget from the departments begin in our next meeting. So you'll be able to, they'll come forward and advocate and share, and you'll be able to ask them specific questions as we go through. So with the budget process beginning, this is based off of trends, assumptions. It's an early stage. I'm going to keep saying the same thing in case someone's tuning in right now. The figures are strictly preliminary and they will change, especially we need to wait till the governor releases the initial state budget on January 28th.
This is transparency of our process.
And why am I saying this so much? Because typically we don't do this kind of presentation right now. We're actually coming forward with all of this information early on. We don't normally come forward until a little bit later to show where we're at.
I'll just make one comment. I mean, this is awesome. And I'd much rather see this early and totally understand it's a far bookend that'll never happen. We get it. Like, it's throw everything in the kitchen sink in there, and then we'll go backwards from there.
The key point is the majority of what you're going to see tonight will change in the next 8 weeks.
I think I heard that.
Yeah. And we will, because I think it's important too when I do share out these presentations on the website, and we want to make sure it's clear if someone doesn't actually come and watch this and they look at the slides that it's not confusing, and they'll be able to see that. So the next slide, current gap. We decided to start with the headline and then we'll explain how we got here. The current gap as of today and it's estimated between revenue and expenditures is $4 million. We'll give you the preliminary estimates and assumptions as we begin this process. Did you want to jump in there?
No, none of that. Why don't you know if you want me to talk about any of these?
I'll jump in and then you can add.
Okay.
Because then you're going to talk about all the numbers.
Yeah.
This is like my only time to shine. Right?
Okay, you go for it. Go for it.
No, I'm just kidding. Health insurance. We're going to be talking about skyrocketing health insurance costs, which I think we're kind of aware across the nation that we have that. We also know that's negatively impacting towns, municipalities like ourselves. It diverts money away from direct instructional needs, and you're going to see it's one of our largest drivers. I just spoke a little bit about the federal funding instability. While this isn't the main area that we get all of our money, it does support our programming, particularly in areas like IDEA, which supports autonomous programming. And that uncertainty trickles down through the state, where they may not, when it comes to state funding, they've said they may not give us as much because they're uncertain. If they remain uncertain, they're not going to use some of their reserve funds to help in some of the areas like they did last year. The state funding formula, we're not going to get into it tonight. We will later on in our presentations, but we are underfunded. It doesn't meet our operational needs, particularly for districts like Mendon-Upton. The SOA grants, we're fortunate to have like targeted grants, but when people talk about SOA money in general, those increases based off the student population, we do not benefit from any of that. And ultimately, it's a structural gap that has been occurring. It is not unique to Mendon-Upton. It is across all of the towns in the Commonwealth. The cost of delivering public education is increasing faster than the district's available revenue, and it leads to this widening gap. And we put some things in place, and we're going to talk about what we've been trying to do over the years, but we are definitely, obviously, reaching it. So we'll jump into the revenue estimates. I'll hand that part over to you, Jay.
Okay, so, this is probably the hardest thing to guess at where we're gonna end up with revenue, but on the state aid side, initially, we can only budget what's required by Mass General Law, which is $30 per student. So that would be about a $57,000 to $58,000 increase, which is very minimal. Now, the last 2 years, it's been higher. It was 103 2 years ago, it was 150 this year. I do expect it will go higher, but probably not in the governor's budget, which is what we end up going to our certified budget with, is what the governor has. Transportation, this year's reimbursement rate is 84.8%. I've just carried the number level funded for now, only because it's 84.8% now, but typically the governor's budget is a lot less. I think last year was around 74% when she first came out with it. So I don't think we can anticipate a huge increase, but again, we can hope. The charter school one, I'm just level funding that over as well. That's going to be based on enrollment in charter schools. It went, I think last year it was at 40,000, then it was 85,000, then it was 68. It jumps around. But the cost is there. We do actually get some money back, but we do also get the tuition bills. I don't know how many students. I haven't got the October 1 report yet, but it's probably about 10 or 12 students that go to charter schools, and we spend about $380,000 for the tuition and get back about 74. So that's the revenue piece right now. So you can see that's not a very big increase when you're talking about state aid. The minimum local contribution amount and local aid in general. So this is the hardest one to calculate. I think we talked about this last year a little bit. In a perfect ideal world, both towns get a comparable increase in minimum local contribution. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. It has not consistently happened in any year. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I think preliminary, we have to just kind of hope that it's going to come out a little bit equal. When it comes out when one town is much higher than the other, it makes an increase to that town even more and lowers the increase to the other town, and it skews things. So you end up like what we did last year, where Mendon had a 0%, a $0 increase because they had such a minimal, MLC increase. Right now, again, this is the one that we really want to stress. These are not what the towns are going to be having as a local aid increase, but it's the best guess at this point. So it's a little over $1 million, 1.1 billion in additional local aid. As far as district funds, we should be able to appropriate another $1 million out of E&D. We'll give you a little more analysis about that in a second. We still have our shared tech situation with the town of Upton. I think it's actually around 44,000 this year, but I'm just carrying the 40 for now. We'll fine tune it once we get our health insurance costs. The things that they pay is 50% of the cost of the employee, which is a salary, health insurance, and Medicare tax. Transfer in from revolving. Those are revolving accounts, and we'll give you some of the balances on those. Those are accounts, they're programs that are self-funded, make a profit, and we almost always appropriate 150,000 out of those programs each year. This year, we appropriated 325,000. We can't do it again in FY27. We did it in 26 to push this off for another year, but we can't do it again. Interest, I continue to budget around 100,000. I do believe it'll be considerably higher, but it's a crapshoot to say. I should use that term. Huh? It's hard to say that interest rates are going to remain where they are right now. They're fairly high. We're still getting around 4%, but that could drop down to 2.5% or 2% and cut it in half. So I like to be conservative with that number for two reasons. One, you don't know where interest rates are going to go, and the second reason is when the unforeseen happens, we do potentially have some additional revenue to cover some of those things, like what's going on with the retiree health insurance this current year. Medicaid, we're budgeting level funded at 85,000 as well. Bottom line is the district's gonna have about $175,000 reduction in what we can appropriate within our own funds to help source, to help fund the entire budget. So all in all, put it all together, we're looking a little over $1 million as an increase in revenue. It's a 2.5% increase in our revenue budget. Certainly not going to be enough to take care of the expenditure side, at least at this point in time, but that's the initial estimates. Now, as far as some of the accounts, school choice that we've been appropriating $1 million out of pretty much every year, and we plan to do the same thing in FY27. This year we went to 1.4 million again to push this off for another year. We can't do that again either. So this kind of tells you where we started for the year. I think our net, growth for the course of the year is going to be around $600,000. But we got to take out the 1.4 million, and then if we do another million for FY27, it's going to really deplete that account. So it'll be probably the last time we'll be in a position to do that. And then we'll probably have to reduce what we appropriate out of school choice. May turn out better, but right now that's sort of where it's headed. As far as circuit breaker is reimbursement for out-of-district tuition. You're allowed to carry the funds over for 1 year. We are a year ahead. So what we take in 25, we spend in 26. What we take in 26, we spend in 27. In this area, we're going to do a little bit better than we've done in past years because they gave us a supplemental distribution in July, but it was supposed to be for FY25. But DOR said we would be allowed to carry it over into 27. So we're going to be able to reduce our out-of-district tuition line by 1.6 million. That's a good thing. So that's positive on this. But we have to spend that entire 1,624. We have to spend it in 27. We can't carry it beyond that. If we do, then the Department of Revenue tells us to close it out to E&D. As far as E&D or the undesignated fund balance, you can see we're at about 2.8 million right now. We appropriated $1 million this year. We're talking about appropriating $1 million next year, which would leave that potentially at the end of FY27 at around $800,000. I hope that we will finish on a positive side this year, but it's hard to tell at this point in time. But it doesn't include potentially closing out additional funds into E&D. If we could get that up to 1.1 million, that would be great, but I can't tell you that at this point in time. That's the other one that is a revenue source. As far as the other revolving accounts, it's 3 accounts: before and after school programs and preschool program. All of these programs are self-funded and they generate surplus funds that we use to reduce local assessments to the towns. And if we have unanticipated expenses, we can use them for that as well. But again, because we appropriated so much this year, and we're talking about appropriating 150 next year, the balances are going to be cut in half. We're going to be down to about 600,000 from about 1.1 million, which is where they stand as of now. So that's the balances today. Actually, it's probably the balances as of about 20 days ago. It should improve over the course of the year. So I hope that those accounts will grow a little bit further. But again, we don't know that yet. But they typically, all of those programs generate 150,000 a year in additional money, which is why we've been able to appropriate out that much. I think we talked about this last year. Our goal is always to have around 7% of reserve funds to meet unanticipated emergencies, any kind of needs like that. Because we've been increasing our reserve funds in order to push this down as far as we have, we can't keep doing it that way. And, we do have a structural deficit when you use one-time money to pay for things that are recurring costs. We've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 years because we did have good reserve funds, but eventually you lose the ability to do that. I think that's the point we're at right now. All right, so that's the revenue piece. Before I go on, is there any questions on that? Did I go too fast or anything? Okay, on the expenditure side, we'll start with the main drivers. So salaries look like they're going to be up around 1.4 million. All that includes right now is the COLAs that are built into all of their contracts and steps for everybody that's going to receive a step increase. It doesn't include the things that I have yet to calculate. And one thing we won't know until February 1 is lane changes. But typically lane changes run around $70,000. And longevity, based on what we calculated when we were negotiating, are going to be around $100,000. So there's still $170,000 not built into that salary piece right there. You'll see a list of new proposed positions that have been requested by all the departments that add up to about 845,000. So those are just a straight increase where we're to fill all those positions. Health insurance, Maureen touched on. Right now, I'm budgeting 25%. I'm hoping that it'll get down to 20%, but I don't know that for sure. There's lots of things that are playing into it. I think we've talked about the GLP-1 drugs, the cost of those, and how they're going to handle that in FY27, which we don't know. We have decided to continue with them as is through FY26. And I personally have some ideas of how you could make it a little more manageable. I may not be the one that gets to call that. It's hard to say. Health insurance is a national issue. It's not a local issue. It's not us. It's not the plan we're in. We have reached out to Harvard Pilgrim already to see, like, what would it cost to go back into a fully insured plan like we used to be on 3 years ago. They will not give us a price. We've got too many claims that exceed what they want to take on at that point. Now, we are with Harvard, don't get me wrong, but when you're in a self-funded plan, then the risk is more on our side than on their side. Transportation. It's up 127,000. We just did their contract last year, so it probably would have been up a couple 100,000 had we not agreed to the, to the extension for the next 2 years. That's actually not a bad increase when I look at it compared to what we've had in previous years. Worcester retirement is purely a guess. It had been running 10% a year for several years, but this past year it was a lot less. So I'm hoping that it will continue in that trend, and so I budgeted 8% in that area. The athletics is really related to transportation and use of fields because our fields are going to be closed down. I didn't think that was too bad, $20,000, but that's been budgeted in as well. Building maintenance costs continue to increase. Things break, we get quotes for them, everything is expensive. That's what's really getting down to it is, even the issue with the boilers at Nipmuc. I wouldn't be surprised if the end result of that is a $15,000 or $20,000 bill before it's all said and done. It just seems like everything costs way more than what I think. We've got some challenges with some areas and all of the buildings that aren't part of the capital plans. Some of our utility costs are going up, heating oil is going up, natural gas is going up. All those things are impacting us. So that's the increase in building maintenance. The curriculum resources, we have a variety of textbook series that are expiring that we have to renew with new leases. This amount is the full cost were we to fund it all in 1 year. We typically would not do that. They're usually 6-year licenses, and ideally it would be great if they let us just pay it out over 6 years, but they don't do that. They usually give you 2 years to pay it, sometimes 3 if you can talk them into it. So I expect that number to be a little bit less than what it's showing right there, but that's the full cost as we have it right now. And then we have talked millions of times about student devices and the need to upgrade a whole fleet of devices. We don't really know what those devices are going to be. I know there was some discussion at the last meeting, but it's still going to be around $200,000 hit. And like I said, lane changes and longevity are still to be calculated. So those are the big drivers. Now there's lots of other accounts that are up, $500 here, $600 here. They do all add up. I didn't get into all of them at this point. So if you put all that together, it would look like a budget of about $47,409,000. It's about a $5 million increase and approximately a 12% increase. So again, let's reiterate what we've said before. This is preliminary. We have done no refinement of this. We haven't gone through and said, all right, they're going to have to do without this, or we can cut the price of this down. None of that's happened yet, so it's not a final number, but that's the initial proposal that was brought forward to us. And I just put everything in at this point. Before we go on, any questions? I know I kind of run through this quickly, and it's because I live these numbers every day, so they all make sense to me, but maybe not to everybody else. So questions? Wow, I did a good job of explaining.
I guess at some point it'd be interesting just to deep dive into the healthcare stuff, not the GLP one, but just what is the out of pocket? You get a paycheck, right? The teachers pay a certain amounts for healthcare. Is it going up at the same percentage? or is the district taking on a bigger portion?
Yeah, no, so the contract is we pay 75%, employees pay 25%. That stays the same. So if it goes up, everybody's share of what they pay is gonna go up by the same amount. We don't pay any co-pays, any of that stuff. That's all covered. There's no deductible on the plan. The only thing that we agreed to in the contract with Teachers Association was if there was co-insurance, we would pick up the cost for co-insurance because it was covered previously if you were still within your deductible by the deductible that the district was paying. Last year, I believe we were supposed to set aside $50,000 a year, which is what we have set aside this year. I think last year we spent $4,800. It was minimal. This year I haven't gotten any reimbursement requests yet. So none of that has really changed. The deal when you have self-insurance is that you have to make sure your premiums cover the costs of the claims. I'm having a hard time getting a closeout number for FY25, partially because I continue even this week to get employees coming to me saying, hey, I went to the doctor last November and never got paid. So there's still claims floating out there. So we're trying to figure out, but I'm pretty sure at this point that we're probably going to finish 25 in a very small deficit, which means you make it up in your premiums the next year. But of course, the premiums for this year are already set. And right now our loss ratio for FY26 is right at 100%. Kind of where you want to be. I would actually like to be at 90%, sure. But let's assume that we finish and we're in good shape. We still have to make up that deficit at some point. So that will impact the premiums for FY27 as well.
It'd be interesting with that consortium or group that you're part of, to understand what other districts are doing percentage-wise. I know
as far as percentage employees paid to
yeah,
district, right?
Corporate norm is 50-50.
Right.
We're 75-25. Be curious to go hit our 12 surrounding districts and see what percentage they're at.
Yeah, I do have that data somewhere. I don't have it at the top of my head, but I believe that most districts are 75-25. Some are 80-20.
Yeah.
Some of the towns are 80-20. I think we're in range. I don't think we're out of range, but I don't think there's any school districts or municipalities that are doing like 50-50. That would, obviously that would have to be negotiated. So that would be
it helps us prepare for next year. Yes.
I mean, even at the 25%, the one thing that we've heard over the years, we will hear this time, is they get a COLA or they get a step increase, and all that's eaten up by an increase in health insurance. It's the way of the world. It happens in the business world as well.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that right now healthcare industry is really in turmoil. I mean, the costs are outrageous. We have several really high claims. Now, part of our policy is we have what's called stop loss coverage. So it's $175,000 is when you hit that stop loss. And that's part of the difficulty in getting good numbers for 25 is there's still some stop loss that hasn't been credited back to us yet. The way this plan works is we're in this joint purchasing group, but each of us are in our own individual risk pool, as opposed to like putting us with 5 other districts, or even making, I think there's 14 districts, 12 or 14 that are in the group, making them all one giant risk pool. There's pluses and minuses to both ways. I mean, some districts that don't have deficits at all are going to say, why do I want to take on, that district that has a huge one? Other ones, I kind of feel like I'd rather be in my own risk pool myself. I mean, that's kind of what you're in when you're in a fully insured plan, is you're all by yourself.
To use your technical term, it's a crapshoot.
Yes, absolutely. It's what I learned in school when I was learning a ranking and composition.
It's a statistical term.
Yeah, but I don't like to throw out the technical terms. All right.
All right, so identified needs, this is very high level, just to give you a sense of some of the categories, and there are plenty more, but one thing that we're looking at when I show you the list of requests, we have class sizes. I don't know if you recall from past presentations where I kind of have steps of where we begin in our process in the budget hierarchy. Class sizes and maintaining, appropriate class sizes for effective instruction and learning. That tends to be a top priority for us. We have 1 grade level at Clough Elementary School that is 25 across the board. It wasn't last year at the budget time, it's students who have moved in over the summer. And so one of the requests relates to reducing that. At the middle school, we've been looking at some of our electives are high, so there's a position in there that could address that has been asked for. We have a number in the category that I put meeting the needs of all students, also mandated services, federal, state kind of compliance issues. We have special ed requests for services at Misco and Nipmuc. We had a number of requests for supporting our EL program, particularly at Misco and Nipmuc. We had a request related to mental health, behavioral health supports at Memorial, and a coordinator for special education in order to help work with team chairs and help to work with compliance issues and more close monitoring supervision of IEPs across the district. For tech support and integration, you'll note when I get to the next slide, we've probably had this request in there for, I don't know, as long as I've been here for our tech support, but we also have tech integration support requests in there because of the emerging technology that we have and working directly with teachers in integration. And then you have these ongoing requests that we've had that a lot of these, sometimes we say they become their needs, but they're unfulfilled needs. So I'd like to put out to the community to be able to show what's being requested and prioritized by our schools and our departments over the course of these years that haven't been met. And sometimes it changes as student needs changes and programs change. But we have a request for instructional coaching at the secondary level. We only have one instructional coach in the whole district, and it works. She works just with one elementary school and part of the middle school. We've been talking about curricular instructional coordination for a while and the need for that. And we've also talked about how the SOA grant has been supporting our teacher leadership instructional partners, but without that funding, that's been requested in the budget. So if you go to the next slide, what I traditionally do is just kind of first step, I give the date and I just organize it by school or area. So at Clough, we're looking at Spanish immersion, classroom teacher, and the potential of pre-K teacher and aide if we were to grow the program and expand the program, which is something we've been talking about. At Memorial, we've had some increased mental health behavioral support needs in the last year or so. And when you think about Clough, over at Clough, we have some of the additional therapeutic supports, but we don't have it at Memorial. And so that's where that's coming from. And looking at some of the student numbers, Misco Hill is coming forward again with special ed teacher, which has been on the list for a number of years, business tech teacher for the electives, and they also requested support with EL programming. Okay, next one, Nipmuc, request for support with instructional coaching, also EL support, a special educator based off of numbers, which we need to refine and check those numbers. We also have some contracted services related to speech language pathology, and we need to look at that to see if that could be something that we would need an in-house person. Special ed coordinator, or possibly covering some of the out of district for student support services. Teaching and learning, also talked about EL teachers. So when you see EL teacher listed 3 times, that's not 3 EL teachers. I just wanted to state that multiple people were requesting it across the board. And also district coordinator, perhaps focused around literacy. And then the tech support, instructional tech support, can maybe 0.5, or looking at different options from the tech department. I put in a star if it's been requested before, so you can get a sense of that. In further presentations, what I intend to do is I want to go back and kind of track the requests over 5 years and just to see what they have. We have met some requests by reallocations over a number of years, or reductions in staff in some areas, and met requests in different ways rather than adding to the budget. And that's often what we try to look. And we will then, as we go through this process, we rank order the priorities of this in the budget to see what we might be able to do, what we have to do mandated, and what we'd be able to do, and have further conversations. But we'd just like to give you that sense.
It could be useful to, instead of stars, use a superscript for how many years.
Yeah,
in a row.
once I go through, I didn't go through all the presentations to see. And I kind of want to see if I can go back to before I was superintendent, see if I can find it in previous ones too, because some go back.
3, 4.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to get a sense of that too, because I haven't done that before. So then it just lands again on the gap where we're at. This is just the beginning. But wanted to give you an overview, and we follow up. We have a budget subcommittee meeting on Thursday at 5, where we will mostly bring this presentation, but if there's some additional information or something you want us to dive into that we can pull together between now and Thursday, talk to Jay or talk to me, and we can then try to do that a little bit more and talk more in detail too.
I mean, initially, this looked like a humongous gap, right? $4 million, that's a lot, much higher than I think it's been in previous times. There will be a lot of refinement that I think will get this to a much more manageable number, but I think there's still going to be a revenue to expenditure gap no matter what we do this year. I don't see a way to avoid it at this point. I think we've done, a good job of avoiding it for 11 years, 12 years. But I think the statement at the very beginning, the cost of running a public school district is exceeding what the revenue is available to us, to the community, to the state, everybody.
Right, the percentage is big too, but so that percentage, the 12.02%, represents the cost increase above the revenue increases, correct?
No, that's total net increase
in
expenditures.
That's right.
Yeah.
I hope I said.
Yeah. So it's the net increase in expenditures, revenues up 2.5%. So maybe the net gain, the net offset is 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 5 and 1.
Yeah.
Not to get out in the weeds, but for health insurance, do we offer HMO and PPO or?
What we offer, the two plans are, so I've asked this question, apparently you're required to offer both an HMO and a PPO. What we offer is called an EPO, which is short for an exclusive provider network. The difference is that you don't need referrals to go to specialists. The way the EPO works is you have a network of doctors. It's the Harvard Pilgrim Network. You have to stay in that network no matter what. You cannot go outside the network unless you want to pay 100% of the cost. PPO allows you to go outside the network. The majority of doctors, I believe, are within the Harvard Pilgrim Network in New England, but we do have employees that live in Rhode Island or Connecticut, and they're covered under United Healthcare. And we're covered under United Healthcare everywhere in the United States. So it is a fairly large network, but I'm sure that if you look hard enough, there's got to be a doctor that's not within this network or a few. I mean, I think the plan we're in is good. I do think it provides good coverage and provides good benefits to our employees. I think the problem that I'm seeing now is that there's more and more people who have their hands, not employees, people in the healthcare industry. They all have their hands in it, like prescriptions. You've got 3 different things you have to go through to get authorizations for drugs and things. It's just becoming more and more complicated. Ultimately, all these things do save you money. But from an employee side, employee wants to, I don't feel like going to the doctor tells me to do this, I want to do it, be done. I don't want to hear about insurance telling me other stuff. I think that's the debate I was mentioning to Eric before with the GLP-1 drugs, is you've got programs that are saying you can take these drugs, but you can only take them for a year and then we don't cover them anymore. And then you have doctors saying, if you go on these drugs, you're on them for life and this will help you. So you got an insurance company saying one thing, doctors saying something else. There's a contradiction there that just is not getting resolved.
Yeah, my company we're not offering GLP drugs.
Most insurance companies aren't.
Correct. It's like type 2 diabetes only.
Right. They offer them for that. But it's ironic because when you go buy, Zepbound through health insurance, it's like $1,400. But if you just go and pay cash for it at Costco, it's $150. There's something wrong with this whole system, and it's not patients, it's not doctors, it's pharmaceuticals and the healthcare industry and all the kickbacks that are in it. It's a very complex issue that isn't getting resolved anytime in the near future, I don't think.
Any other questions or comments on the budget presentation? All right. Well, we've got a challenge ahead, but Thanks, Jay. That was very informative. Appreciate it.
Exciting as always. I feel like Groundhog Day. All right, I'm gonna go sit down again.
Just stay. It's easy.
No.
You're up next.
I don't want to sit at the grown-up table anymore. I want to go back to the kids' table.
All right. Moving on, school committee subcommittee. Budget subcommittee, when's our next meeting? December 18th, which is Thursday at 5 p.m. Jay, thanks for the budget preview.
I don't have to do this all over.
No. Vicky, policy.
So the policy committee met earlier this evening, 3 hours ago. And we worked on revisions to the CTE policy, which we passed earlier this year, and we got some feedback from Jesse after submitting that. So we have incorporated that feedback into the CTE policy. That's the middle school exploration pathway policy. So we are looking to waive the first reading since we looked at this extensively earlier this year, and we're just making some tweaks based on the feedback we got from Jesse.
Motion to approve the middle school exploration pathway policy.
There's a motion to approve the middle school exploration. Second by Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
And then we have 3 other policies that we're just bringing for a first read tonight. So those are KBE, KBG, and GBEBC.
Oh, I love the naming. All right, so be sure to take a look at that before the next meeting. And review and vote. Anything else? It's not a negotiations here. Superintendent eval.
Haven't met, won't be meeting until middle of the year for an update.
Right. And there's no capital, and Dr. Cohen already did building. Other matters not anticipated by the committee within 48 hours. There are none. Future agenda items, departmental budget presentations, and executive session. Motion and roll call vote is needed to enter into executive session under exemption 2 to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. We will return to open session only for the purpose of adjournment. Is there a motion? We have to roll call. Motion and roll call. There's a motion to go into executive session. Second. Seconded by Carrie. Roll call vote. Starts on there.
Sean Nicholson, aye.
Kirk Brown, aye.
Jim Forkey, aye.
Mary Buxton, aye.
Vicky Ludwigson, aye.
Matt Hagan, aye.
Motion carries, entering executive session. And we will adjourn at the end. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't see you have a nice holiday.
Are you in trouble?
Could be.
You stay after, usually.
I mean, I don't ever do anything that I shouldn't do. You know that by now.
Same crap shoot on the internet.
No, ITV, I don't see. Just the internet. I know, it's trending now.
I have a call on the actual schedule. So. I don't know, maybe I'll come to the office to take it, but then I'll get in the car and finish it. I just wanted to go with. There was part that was like.
Oh, I got this, I got I am skilled at
My big review.
We don't have somebody else do it, it might be a crash.
I have to coordinate and speak and hand out. Text me if you need it, all the awards, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Thanks, yeah.
Good
See you
night.
later. You got any name plates for the rest of this? Yeah. You wouldn't forget?
I just forget my name during the roll call.
What do they call me again?
Who?
It depends. Depends who I'm talking to.
You're the only person in the meeting, huh? We're supposed to close this out.
Yeah, we don't want to be in a meeting, right?
Did Sam leave?
It's live.
Wall. Yeah, but no, he disconnects it. Close it.